When you're working on a game, always be pitching, right? Always be thinking about, how do I communicate this idea? How do I communicate this feature? How do I communicate this thing I want to do, this art style I want to follow, this character I've made? You want to get really good at explaining the value of what you're doing, explaining the importance of what you're doing. You can't just sit there and be like, this character is cool, and then expect everybody to go like, oh yeah, it's cool. No, people will go like, no, the cape is bad, or like, I don't like the face of the game, or something like it. Something like it. If you want to be good at game development, get good at pitching. Get good at telling people what I've made is important. What I've made is relevant. What I made matters. And it won't just make you a better game designer. It'll make you a better designer. It'll make you a better thinker. It'll make you a better communicator. Now, at the same time, value isn't real. Price doesn't exist. The fair development price, the fair budget for your game, no such thing. If you are going to work with a small publisher and you get $30,000, that might be a lot of money for them, right? If you work with a huge company, a Microsoft, a Sony, a publisher, Cartoon Network, then $30,000 is nothing. You can make the exact same game, and with one company it's worth $30,000, and with the other company it's worth $250,000, right? So value isn't real. Everything about value is nonsense. Value is the value of your game. You want to know what the real value of your game is? Whatever people will pay for it. If you can convince people to pay $25 for your game, now your game is worth $25. If you can convince people to pay $5 for your game, now your game's worth $5 for it, right? Price isn't real. People talk about price all the time. They talk about budgets. They talk about value. They talk about it as if it's a real thing. You know what has a real price? A banana. Somebody has to grow it. It has to be transported. Somebody has to plant it. It has to be harvested. It has to be brought to where you live. It has to go in the supermarket. There's packaging costs. A banana has a price. A video game doesn't have a price. It's digital. We can make 1 million of them, right? We can make 2 million of them. We can make 1 of them. We can make however many we want. People can copy them. So games don't have a real value. The only value games have is the value people will give for it. This is true both in publishing, in creating budgets, in investment, and in the final price, right? Whatever you can convince people to pay for any part of the process is what the game is worth. Always think about why. Why am I doing things? Why do I care about this game? If you can figure out why you're doing things, you'll be a better game developer. People go, oh yeah, why do I make games? Because it's fun. Because that's not an answer. Come on. There's better answers. Why do you make games? Why do you care? What's so important about games for you that made you sit here on, what is it, Thursday? And Thursday afternoon, while you could be doing 1 million other things, right? You care. You clearly care. You're here. So why is that? What is it? What made you come here? What made you be here, right? And what about that made you be here? StarCraft, for me, it was StarCraft, right? Part of the reason I was here was StarCraft, because the level editor, it was just so smart. But why did I think that was good? Why did I think that was smart, right? Keep asking yourself why. Be that annoying kid that keeps going, why? Like, why is the sky blue? And you're like, light bounces off of molecules in the sky in such a way that it's blue. And they're like, but why are there molecules? It's like, like 6-year-olds can be really annoying in that way, but they're also very smart. Continuing to ask why is really smart. Be as smart as a 6-year-old. Ask yourself why. You over budget, you under promise. Always ask for more money than you need, and always ask for less than you want to do, right? Because if you over budget and you under promise, it's much easier to achieve the thing you actually want to achieve. So ask 30% extra, promise 30% less. Ask for 30% on top of your budget, and then promise 30% less levels than you want to make. If you really want to make 15 levels, promise 12. You have a much better chance of actually making the 15 levels you were talking about. This one I really want to talk with you about, because I come across this in a lot of Egyptians, right? We're proud people, right? But we're also worried about the legitimacy of our work, right? We're worried towards our parents. We're worried towards society. We're worried that not necessarily people will accept game development as a real job, right? And because of that, we try to prove ourselves really hard. I try to prove my work to my dad, who is an Egyptian from Cairo, from Road al-Farag. I tried to convince him for a decade that my job was real, right? It took me a decade to convince him that game development was real. And I remember at the start, I kept thinking to myself, Rami, you have to make your dad proud, right? Yeah, like I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to make sure that my family understood what I did. And because of that, I put such high pressure on myself, right? And I started being a perfectionist. I wanted everything to be perfect so I could show it off. But because of that, I also missed out on a lot of opportunities because I kept going, oh, my work isn't good enough, right? Or nobody will take this, or I have a bad pitch. I shouldn't submit to this event because I'm not good enough yet. I need to be better. I was trying to not be rejected from things. But the way I was doing that was by just not applying to things, by not trying things, by avoiding things until they were perfect. And nothing is ever perfect. So don't reject yourself when others can do it. Let the other people reject you. Take every rejection as a point of pride that you've tried it, right? Apply to that fund, apply to that grant, apply to that publisher, apply to that job, apply to things, try things, do things. Don't tell yourself, oh, they're not going to take me, or they're not going to be interested in me, or I'm not good enough, or no. You don't reject yourself. They reject you. And then if they reject you, be proud that you tried, right? It still hurts. Still not great to get rejected, but it's better than not trying. If you're making games, the thing you should spend most time on is selling them. Not making them, not designing them, selling them. Every point, at least if you're making commercial games, every point of your process ultimately leads to selling your game, right? So if you're spending 3 years of your life on making a video game, but you can't spend 3 months on making the best shop page, the best Steam page, the best PlayStation page, the best pitch document, the best pitch presentation, pitch deck, if you can't spend 3 months on that, what are you doing? Those moments matter most. You know, the moment that matters most in selling a game is not whether the game is good. It's whether you can sell to people the idea that the game is good, that it's interesting. Have you seen how many bad games that don't look good, games that don't sound good? How many games are the biggest hits of the year? You think that has to do with just the quality of the game? No, it has to do with how people sell the game. It has to do with the conversation that starts about it, right? It has to do with the store page where people look at it and go like, this is the game I want. And sometimes they want a polished game. So your store page should look polished, right? But if your game has a flavor to it, a special way that people talk about it, make your store page fit that. When I develop games, I write a little script that puts out a screenshot as soon as it looks like the way I want. I write a little script that puts out a screenshot every 10 seconds. And at the end of a day of work, I'll go through the folder and I'll pick the 5 best ones and I'll save them somewhere else. And then when the game is done and I want to make a store page, I have thousands of screenshots that I can pick from. And I pick the best 5 ones, right? But that can take days. Trailers can take days. Writing the little part at the top of the store page can take days. Take those days. Spend that time, right? Because ultimately, people decide in 7 seconds when they get to your store page. They decide in 7 seconds whether they want to continue scrolling or whether they want to leave. So make those first seconds, make them count. And if you're going to do commercial games, if you're going to try and make this a business, make games, not one game, right? Always be thinking about how does this game help our next game? You don't even have to know what the next game is, but where do you want to be after this game? More community that will buy your last game? More fans? Do you want to have a lot of money to fund your next game? Do you want to self-fund? What is your goal? What are you building towards? What are you trying to achieve, right? As soon as you start thinking about making multiple games, you'll make a better game because you'll be thinking about how that game helps your future. So don't just try to make a game. Try to make multiple games. Not at once, but, always be thinking about it. A lot of people ask me about price. The price of your game should be the thing you want to sell it for, the price you want to sell it for, plus 25%. Why plus 25%? So then you can discount the 25%. If you want to make a game that's $10, sell it for $13. And then whenever you have the opportunity, drop it to $9.99. Discount, 20% off. People will buy it, right? So price higher than you want it to, and then discount often.